Welcome everyone to Blue Collar Startup, the podcast where hard work meets big ideas. This is your home for real talk, real stories, and real strategies from the front lines of life and the business of the trades. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Nelson from Five Towers Media.
And I'm your other host, Derek Foster of Dago Cleaning Systems. How we doing, Mike?
We're doing very well. It's Halloween, so if you're listening, we're recording on Halloween here. We're after this, I'm going to carve some pumpkins and then take my 5-year-old trick or treating. So happy day, a
You
lot
were
of fun.
you were smart to wait on the pumpkin carving. We did ours 2 weeks ago, and they're about ready to be tossed down the embankment near the house.
They're sad pumpkins now at this point, I bet.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, but all good stuff. Got to enjoy it with the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we got to get to work here. We got excited about our guests today, but of course, before we do that, I want to just give a quick shout out to our sponsors. All the folks that help not only make this show possible, but also make it possible for us to donate money to our local BOCES chapters, Hudson Valley Community College. Where because of our sponsors, we're able to give money to those folks to help other kids with tuition, tools, and all designated around supporting kids in the trade, so which we need. So real quick, here's our sponsors. We've got, of course, Nick over at Peopleese. We've got the great team over at Martin Electric, MLB Construction, Benaccio Construction, of course, Luke and team over at Michael's Group, Stacy and Scott over at Catamount Consulting. Can't say enough about how much support those guys help us. They are so great with ideas, coming on the show all the time, and then of course introducing us to folks to come on the show. We've had a lot of guests on the show because Scott and Stacy, so I can't thank them enough. And then, of course, Derek's team over at Dago Cleaning Systems and our team over at Five Towers Media for all the work they do to make this show happen. And without further ado, Pam, Doug, welcome back to the show.
Thank you
Nice to
for
be
having
here,
us. Yeah.
especially on Halloween.
On
I like
Halloween, I know. Well, whatever it takes.
We should have dressed up, but I
I
wasn't
think we
thinking that
are.
in my head. Yeah.
I, I'm in my Grandpa Bob shirt. That's what we call this. My grandfather, his name was Bob, and he always was wearing a red flannel, like every day of every week. Didn't matter what time of the year, the guy was in one of these shirts. So I'm dressing up as my Grandpa Bob right now, guys.
We call that a lumberjack shirt.
Yeah, lumberjack shirt,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I got a reprieve tonight. My three grandsons live across the street from me. I'm so fortunate. And I've been recruited to go trick-or-treating with them the last couple of years. And I wasn't necessarily looking forward to it for tonight with the weather is the way it is, but they wanted to go to the hockey game. So
Ah,
thinking about trick-or-treating, we're going up to the Thunder hockey game. So
Very nice. Up in
Exciting.
Glens Falls.
yeah, they do
Oh,
a nice job up there.
how's that hockey team doing this year?
They're just starting the season. They're 1-1,
Okay.
and Curtis is a big sponsor of the Adirondack Thunder. So,
Yeah.
and I'm a season ticket holder, so we get
Oh,
to
very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, we try to get to a game every season. We don't have the time to follow it as much as I'd like to, but it's always a good time. And the last few years, I feel like the hockey's been really good.
they do a nice job up there. It's younger players that are looking to move up, so they're motivated.
Yeah, yeah. Motivation is the key, right? In all things.
Exactly.
Pam and Doug, so if you guys wouldn't mind, just I know, let's see, it was actually almost 2 years ago that you guys were on the show, and that was, I believe, you were just kind of getting off the ground with the coalition. So would you guys just real quick mind just telling our audience, who you are and kind of give us a rundown about the coalition and what you guys are doing?
you want to
Sure.
start, Doug?
Sure, I can take that. And again, just to, a lot of people are familiar with us, but going back 8 years, I'll give you a little bit of the history. 8 years ago, as a result of a Saratoga Builders Association board meeting, I got appointed to a task force, and I came back to Curtis Lumber and immediately recruited Pam. And since that day, we have built a not-for-profit called the Northeast Construction Trades Workforce Coalition. And over the course of the 8 years, we've built several programs, but we focus on educating students starting in second grade. We have a program for elementary, middle, and high school students. We also spend a lot of time working with school counselors because we've learned through our research and working with them, that they really don't have the tools that they need to really be able to talk to young people wanting to get into the trade. So we spend a lot of time with school counselors and school administrators. And the third leg of the stool is really the parents. And that's one where we continue to struggle. But this type of opportunity gives us a chance to hopefully talk to some parents that are out there and maybe listening to this. We've had a tremendous amount of success, and the program is growing. I'm retiring from a great paying job to work at the not-for-profit for free starting next year. I'm retiring in April, so it's all good.
Yeah. And forgive me, I know that it's been a initiative that you guys have been working on, but was it when I first met you a couple of years ago, was that when you were turning it into a formal not-for-profit, or has it been a not-for-profit for all those years and I just had that completely messed up?
No, we did for 6 years. Doug and I was at Curtis Lumber formerly. I supported the executive staff there. And we both, in addition to our full-time jobs, we just sort of did this on the side, had this task force, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. So eventually we had to form a nonprofit. We're a 501c6. And that was 2 years ago, right about the time that you first had us on, Mike. We had just formed our 501c6. So we've been doing this for about 8 years, but just 2 years as a formal nonprofit. Yeah. And I retired from Curtis and took the role of executive director of the coalition.
Yeah. It sounds like retirement for both of you is turning into a second career.
Yeah, working our butts off.
And I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't just take a moment to talk about Curtis, just for our listeners that are outside of the area. Obviously, anyone that lives locally knows who Curtis Lumber is, right? But can you kind of give us just a quick 30,000-foot view about Curtis Lumber, who they are, kind of like, and why they would, I think the important part of that, right, is why they would allow you guys to spend so much of your time on their dime, right, focusing on this initiative.
Yeah, I can't thank Curtis Lumber enough. I've been with Curtis Lumber for just shy of 30 years. Prior to that, I worked for Grossman's Lumber. Some of the people that look like me with the gray hair will remember Grossman's. But
I remember Grossman's. I rember Grossman's back.
They were a big player in their day, and I started with them in 1977. And when they closed up, I went to work for Curtis. But Curtis Lumber is, like you said, it's a strong player locally. We have 23 locations, 6 generations. The company is 135 years old. Jay Curtis, who is the 5th generation, is still actively involved. However, his daughter, Kylie Holland, is really running the company for all intent and purposes now. And we continue to grow. We just picked up a new location out in New Hartford. The former JK Lumber is now a Curtis Lumber. And the thing that I want to stress about Curtis Lumber is they are so focused on the community. Even though they're a bigger player in this market, they still are very community focused. Pam and I, have been fortunate enough to be able to work on this coalition and workforce development stuff, for the first 6 years on their dime. Curtis Lumber and the Saratoga Builders Association are really responsible for getting this to a point where we could, take it to a not-for-profit. We have several other lumber companies that are now part of the coalition. So in fairness to Curtis, we really did need to take it out from under their umbrella. However, they continue to support me, they support us. They're a founding member, and Kylie and Jay both, have been nothing but great. In fact, I went into Jay Curtis a few weeks ago, and I said, Jay, I need to talk to you about my exit strategy. And he said, I'm going to retire when you retire, and I'm not ready yet. Go back to your office. But I went back a couple weeks later, and I said to him, I need to retire because I'm spending so much time on this workforce development. I need to be fair to Curtis. And he said, he looked me in the eye. He said, am I not benefiting from the work you're doing? I said, sure, but a lot of other companies are too, and you're paying. He said, I don't have a problem with it. So But you know, that's Curtis Lumber. They see the value in what we're doing, and they support this initiative.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to make sure we talked about that because I knew that they were, even before you did the not-for-profit, obviously they have, people that are working there and their time, money, and resources to, something that
Just going.
sure there's a benefit, but not a direct benefit, right? Like it's more about the community and the trades locally. And I just thought that was a
Yeah.
very generous thing, right? Something that should at least be acknowledged. So that's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Thank you for letting me do that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the coalition. I know you kind of gave us an overview. You guys are doing a lot of great work. Can you give us an idea of some of the things that you're doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to help support the trades and the workforce locally for the trades?
Let me talk about the programs, Doug.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, we're all about awareness, and our focus and our mission has never changed from that. There's other organizations out there that actually work to, teach kids how to do the trades, and that's not what we do. We just want kids to know about the opportunities in the trades so that they can make better career decisions when it comes time to think about what am I going to be when I grow up. They know that there are opportunities in the trades for them. So all of our programs, we work through the schools for everything that we do. And I want to say up front, the schools have been incredibly welcoming. I mean, they open their doors to us, and if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't even exist. We wouldn't be able to do what we do, quite frankly. We work with over 50 schools in the area actively. So we start at second grade. We work second grade through high school primarily, and we start with a little toolbox kit. The kids build a little toolbox, and people say, well, why do you work with little kids like that? And really all we're doing, guys, is we're planting the seed. You talk to them about wood, you talk to them about, do you know today you're going to be a carpenter and you're going to build a toolbox? Do you know what a carpenter does? And do you know who built your house? And do you know the other people that worked on your house, and the electricians and the plumbers? So you just keep it at a real basic fun level for the kids. Is by far our most popular program. We did over 1,200 toolboxes last year. We'll do probably the same or more this year for sure. So that's really popular. And then we get into middle school. And in middle school, we talk to the kids about we have a dodecahedron build that we do with them, which is a 12-sided shape, and Matt Litvak leads that up. And it's a great exercise. It's very hands-on. It's about planning and teamwork. There's a lot of math in there, a little bit of science and some technology. So everything that we do with the kids, we always connect the subjects that they're learning in school, like the science and the math and the technology. And we always connect that to real life work in the trades so that they see that connection. What you're doing in school really is valuable and really does apply to later life careers. So that's a really important piece that we try to always put in there and include. And then for the high school kids, we do things off-site. We do construction site builds. They'll go out and they'll look at, different homes under construction, different phases of construction. So they get to talk to the tradespeople and they get to see and touch and feel what happens. And we also have builders that go in. It's called Meet the Builder. And they do a presentation with the kids, but it's very interactive because you can't just sit there and talk to kids for 45 minutes, right? So they ask a lot of questions and they tell their own personal stories. And the kids love that. They love to find out, how did you get to do what you do? And why are you passionate about what you do? They're hearing it firsthand. And a lot of times we try when it's possible to put young people in front of them. For example, let's say a carpenter who's been doing it for 5 years, he can talk to these 16 and 17 and 18-year-old kids and say, look, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've got a truck. I've got a steady job. I've got insurance. I have benefits. I have good pay. And, they can relate to that. They can look at that and say, hey, in a couple of years, I could be doing the same thing. So, again, it's really just all about awareness and giving them very hands-on interactive things to do to get them involved in the trades.
Do you guys find that there is a lack of awareness prior to you doing these things, right? And the need for you to go in, I know that, like, and I think Derek, this might be the case too, but like, I know when I grew up, we had wood shop, metal shop,
Yep.
and sixth grade, seventh grade. I mean, there was years of these things where we were getting exposed to, I can remember welding and, all sorts of fun things that are trade related and might expose you to them to get you interested in them. But to my knowledge, they don't really do that like that anymore. So is it outside of you offering these programs, is there just a complete lack of that type of stuff in the schools?
It's coming back. There is. I mean, and also to your point, do you remember, Mike, when there was shop, there was home ec? Okay.
Oh, heck,
If you
yeah.
were if you were a girl, you couldn't go to shop. In our school, you couldn't take shop if you were a girl. You had to do home ec. And the same thing with the guys, they had to do shop. So there was that distinction as well. And that's another thing we do is we really promote the opportunities for women in the trades. They have just as many opportunities as the men do out there. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. But yeah, I think you're right. It's really those things have gone away in the schools, but they're starting to come back.
Yeah.
There's a lot of technology teachers now in the schools that do stuff like that, and building construction and building science, and those things didn't exist before. I mean, Doug can tell you, we see it every day. You see articles, we talk to people every day, and just the people we interact with. There's definitely a change, in the attitude towards the trades, without a doubt, because we spent the first several years of this. Not that we still don't, but we don't have to do it as much anymore. But we spent so much time trying to talk to people about the misconceptions in the trades. When
Mhm.
when they hear trades, they think it's backbreaking, it's low pay, it's going to kill you, there's no benefits. Parents and kids don't understand how the trades have evolved over the years, just like other industries. They've had to keep up. They have great benefit packages, they offer good salaries and good wages. The safety standards are much, much different and better than they used to be. So when we first started out, the first couple of years, we really were pounding the pavement on that an awful lot. I think Doug would agree, and definitely not so much anymore. And it's like, it's a cultural change. You're trying to change the way that people think, and
Mhm.
that's tough, but
Yeah.
it's definitely happening. Definitely.
Yeah, no, and Pam, I mean, you hit it right on the head. The going back, the trades were looked upon as a default to go into college.
Mhm.
And, I want to say right on the surface, we are not anti-college, but college is just one of many pathways into the trades. And, I think that has been a big change. And, I think in part, COVID played a role in that, because I think during COVID, I think a lot of parents had to rethink that whole college process and
Yeah.
the cost of college today, and all the different things that are, the amount of remote learning that goes on. Even if you're a college student, you go to a campus, but you do your classes remote in a lot of cases. So, I think there's been a real eye-opening going on around the whole college thing. Like I said, college is just one of many pathways.
Mhm.
The other thing that gets overlooked a lot of times when you say trades, people immediately go to the guy on the backhoe or the person on the roof or the person in the ditch. But there's project management, there's logistics, there's all these different jobs that are comprised of the trades that never get talked about.
Yeah.
So again, we really try to work hard at helping young people understand that there's all these jobs. It's not just, the physical ones. There's a, many
Many.
to
Yeah,
pick from. Yeah.
yeah, and I second that. And Doug and Pam, you may know or not know, but I got an early into the trades because my grandfather was a builder. So working with him and seeing him and my uncle work when I was probably first, second grade, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. He would set me up in the backyard with his tractor and the backhoe, right? And let me play around and dig holes. And people would drive by in their car and be like, what the heck is this little kid doing? And I grew up working with them, and then obviously going to work for a builder locally to build custom homes. And a lot of that knowledge, and even though I'm not doing that today, I was very fortunate because now I have a lot of that knowledge that I still apply, to different things, whether it's my own house or, a rental property. So there's just so many different applications of those skills. And I'm just very fortunate. And a lot of kids that I grew up with didn't have that. And, it was a different path, but I'm very fortunate for that. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, no, it's become a passion for both Pam and I. We eat and breathe and sleep it now. And but I think for me, And it's for an opportunity for me to give back to an industry that's given so much to me. I went to college to be a math teacher. I ran out of beer money as a senior in college and took a job with a lumber yard. And 49 years later, I'm still in the industry. And if I had it to go back and do all over again, I wouldn't change a thing. You know, this industry is full of great people. And I think that's, you know, one of the big things that, you know, we talk about. It's the people. And you know, you had a gentleman on your program, Alex Dominguez. Alex was a student that graduated from Saratoga High School and really pressured into going to college. He, you know, he was high academic student. He was a athlete. He was an Eagle Scout, and there was an expectation that he needed to go to college. And he went to Clemson. And at the end of his first semester, on his way home, he called his parents and said, "I'm not going back. I never wanted to do this, and you know, I'm not doing it." And Pam and I hooked him up. We created an opportunity for him to spend a couple days with a remodeler, a couple days with a home builder, a couple days with a commercial builder, and a couple days with a carpenters union. And at the end of that, he was offered a job by Munter Enterprises, which you've also had on your show, and he continues to work for them today. And his father is Ramon Dominguez, a Hall of Fame jockey, and he has been at a lot of our events and has, you know, spoke to the fact that, you know, he did pressure his son to go to college, but now he says he comes home from work, he's excited about what he accomplished. You know, he can step back at the end of the day and say, you know, look what I did. You know, and for some people, that's important. And you know, I think we've gotten over that hurdle. I think teachers now and school counselors are realizing that, you know, just because somebody's high academically, that they need to go to college. That's not the case. You know, if you do go to college, go for a purpose. Don't go and hope you're going to figure it out once you get there.
Yeah.
You know,
So is there a way, Pam and Doug, for any students who may not have some of these programs offered at their school currently, is there a way for them still to get involved with some of the educational events that you guys have going on?
Pam, I'll let you take that one.
if you're not, ask the question again. I'm Derek.
So I know you're working with a lot of the school districts currently and implementing
Right.
some of the education there, but if
Right.
there's a parent or a student who may not have that currently offered at their school, is there still a way for them to participate in any of the events?
It would probably, we go through the schools for everything except for, like, we have a girls' summer camp that we offer. We did a week last year, and this past year, we did 2 weeks. So that would be something that, you know, we put that all out there on social media, but really all of our programs go through the schools. So what I do, occasionally I'll get parents at some of these other activities, they'll say, gee, you know, we'll get talking about the programs and they'll say, I don't know if they offer that at my school. And I will get in touch with somebody from their school, like usually it's a superintendent or a principal. And I can tell them if we're not working with the school, I can reach out to schools, and I've done that before. I said, well, I'll reach out to your principal and I'll make them aware of our program and see if we can get into your school. So that does happen, you know, rather frequently. And then I just reach out to the school on an individual basis to try but we do always work through the school, because we go in, basically we take over a period of theirs and we come in and we just do our programs. So we say to the schools, you know, give us one of your class periods, give us a bunch, you know, give us a bunch of students, and we're just going to come in. We make it very easy for the schools. They've got enough to do. They don't need any more on their plates. And I think that's one of the reasons, Derek, that we've been successful, is because we say, just give us a class period. We'll take those students to that class period, and we'll do the program according to whatever their age limit is. But so that's the way that we work that. It's brought to my attention that we're not in that school or the parent's not sure, then I will contact the school.
Yeah, and just to, you know, to add on to that, Derek, if any student or any parent reaches out to us, looking for an opportunity or an internship or a job shadowing opportunity, you know, we have, you know, connections with all of the builders and remodelers in this area. And we, you know, that's a lot of what Pam does is she creates these opportunities and sets these job shadowing or internship opportunities up. And And sometimes they're successful, and sometimes students will come away from it and say, nope, that's not what I want to do. And that's okay as well.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
You're helping them just, you're making them aware of things and helps them decide, what do I want to do? I think for me personally, I'm really, I'm gung-ho on job shadowing. I think that's one of the best experiences you can give these kids. It's one-on-one time with a professional. They sit there in that environment, they get exposed to, the clients and the customer conversations and all that. And I just think that I think it's invaluable. I really do. And I try and do as much of that as we possibly can. So when a kid comes to me and they say, I think I'm interested in doing this, we just start somewhere. What do you think you're interested in doing? Are you, they might say, oh, I don't want to sit at a desk, or I want to be outside, or I do want to sit at a desk. So, because sometimes they have no idea, but they'll know stuff like that. So I can start with that kind of basic stuff and then go from there. If they like creativity, we've set people up to do kitchen and bath designs, for example, with 2020 software. They hop on there and in no time they're designing the kitchen. It's pretty cool. But I love setting up kids with job shadowing opportunities. And our business partners are always willing to, take kids in. People are so good about helping the students and wanting to give them that experience.
Yeah. Yeah, Pam mentioned the girls' summer camp, and I think that's something that, I'd like to, talk about for a little bit. We're on our, we've had 2 years now. And I want to give a shout out to Assemblywoman Carrie Warner. She actually came to us and encouraged us to do this. And the first year, we did a week-long program for 5th, 6th, and 7th grade girls. I think we had 20-some girls year one, and they showed up every day. Every girl that started the program, started the camp, finished the camp, and they had a great experience. And this year two, we went back to Carrie and said, we want to do this again. And she absolutely said yes. And I want you guys to do it for 2 weeks. We want to repeat what we did last year, but we wanted an advanced camp. So this year we did 2 weeks, and the second week was an advanced camp. So the girls that went last year and the girls that went to week one this year could actually go to the second week. And it was an absolute home run. And I think kind of the real true test to this is we forgot to tell the girls at the beginning of the camp that they couldn't, be on their cell phones. And we can tell you, honestly, we never had to speak to a young lady the whole 2 weeks about putting their phones away. They were that engaged with what we were doing. They love it. They come together. And Matt Litvak, Litvak Builders, Matt Litvak is a building science instructor as well as a builder. And this guy is phenomenal with his students. And, he puts together an amazing program for them. They are engaged from the time they get there in the morning to the time they leave in the afternoon. And
they build stuff that they take home.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Parents are over the top. The parents always say this, I've never seen a camp like this where they build so many things and get to take it home. Yeah, it's great. It really is.
Where's the camp hosted?
At Matt's property out there at his construction site.
Okay.
At his
Texas
office,
16,
excuse me.
Got it.
Gainsborough, Route 50.
It's it's funny, day one we put a power screwdriver in their hand and they're scared to death. But the last day they're using pneumatic nailers, and they their final project in week one was a vertical garden that they all did. And then the advanced camp, they actually built a 6x8 shed, 3 or 4 of them. So they really it's hands-on. They use the tools. Obviously they're supervised, and we have a lot of great volunteers from the coalition that come and help out. And we wrap up on the last day with kind of a media event. And we had obviously Carrie Warner and Mary Beth Walsh and a lot of the local political people are there. We do have a legislative component to our coalition as well. But this camp has been a home run for us, and we just every year we know we got to expand it, but it's a lot of work.
I bet it is.
Yeah,
I bet it is. And I got to say too, we had Matt on the show.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dee? Was it like maybe 6, 8 months ago we had Matt on the show?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he
And
did a great job.
he did.
Yeah.
That's my only exposure to Matt. I never met him before then. I've never talked to him since then. But I have to tell you that multiple times a month since then, I have run into a situation where someone was talking about the community-driven work that Matt was doing. I mean, every time I turn around, I'm hearing his name attached to just things out in the community. And I wanted to just reference to say that because you mentioned his name twice. He sounds like an amazing guy and just very, very giving and involved in the community. So I think that's amazing. I think we need more people like that everywhere.
He is, Mike, and he's so busy with his own, his own business, he and his brother, but he always makes time to make things happen for these kids. He has helped drive our programs, every single one of them, and it wouldn't be the same without him.
He's a
he's an
gifted
amazing
builder.
person.
Gifted builder, but he's also a gifted teacher. He's
He's a great human being.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
right. He's a giver backer. Yep.
Yeah.
But you touch on, a good topic. These builders are so busy and there's such a lack of labor. But I tell you, they love getting in front of the kids and doing the programs that we're doing. John Witt, I think, I don't know if he's been on the show, but
Yeah.
a very high-end builder. But you put him in front of the kids and he sits down on the floor and has a great time with them. And, and he never tells us no. And that's, there's many of these cases where, these builders are more than willing to go in and work with the kids. They love it.
And they all have their own story, and the kids love to hear their stories.
Yeah.
John's real flashy. He lives a big life. He builds the big, beautiful homes, and he lives a big life, and he loves to tell them all about that. So he's got a cool, fun background, and they just eat that right up. That's what I could be when I grow up someday. So.
Yeah. Well, I do think that's the important thing, right? Is showing them different models in the trades for what you can achieve. And I know that's a big thing for Derek and I on the show and why we try to interview folks like that, the Sonny Bonaccios of the world, because we want kids to understand that, to your point earlier, the stigma of the trades, like doesn't have to be a fallback option. There are so many very successful people that, like, again, just because we just interviewed Sonny a couple of weeks ago, that started with a pickup truck and a couple of guys. And now, I think he said they're doing $100 million a year in revenue. Yeah. And that's just, that is achievable for every single person that wants to go in the trades. And it's just a simple matter of realizing that, again, we're not anti-college either. College is great for a lot of things, but you can build $100 million company without having to go to college. You can go to a trade school. You can start as an apprentice and do so many great things. So.
I think, Sonny did an amazing job. I listened to the interview and Sonny really did a great job helping, people to see that, his path, which, is not unlike a lot of different people, but he's become very successful. And, I remember Sonny coming in, I've helped him load his pickup truck more than once when he was, starting up, but he is down to earth. He'll talk to anybody, he'll tell you he made a lot of mistakes along the way, but he persevered. He stuck with it and did it. And, he's a great teacher now. He works with a lot of young people, helping them get their start.
And, our organization is different in a lot of ways because our members, I always say to them, write the check. We got to have the money, obviously. But when they get out there, if I can just get them out there, to be with the students and spend some time with the kids, building the toolbox or doing a presentation, whatever that might be, that's when they really see the value of their money. That's when they really see what's happening with the dollars that they're giving. And then they really get it. You get it by being out in the field, and I know the same thing when I used to give money to charities and be on boards and stuff. And I remember years ago, one lady saying to our board, she said, if I just beg you to get out there and do one project so you can see where all the money goes, you can see what the impact that you're really having. And our members are great about doing that. And like Doug said, everybody's so busy, but they get it done. I mean, they're all taking time out of their full-time jobs to volunteer to get out there and be with the kids. And it's always, at school hours, it's Monday through Friday, prime time, right? eight to two or whatever. So, but they make it happen for us. So it's a unique, it's kind of unique in that way.
Yeah. What, so I know, you guys are obviously with a lot of what you're doing, you're working on a lot of problems, right? One problem is you're working on getting kids exposure to the trades and just being able to get their hands on something and be able to do it and evaluate if they like that work and if it's going to be for them later on. And there's also the problem of the stigma, right, of the trades and people not realizing that, like Alex, great story. I love Alex's story. Like what a good kid. I mean, I know Derek and I were both very, very impressed with Alex. He was very smart, very good kid. And for the Alexes of the world, realizing that you don't have to go to a D1 school. I'm sure it wasn't an inexpensive school, and you can still do a lot of things and be fulfilled and be successful. So I know that's a problem that we've got to work on, right, with parents and with students of understanding. What other kind of issues do you guys see as far as trying to get kids to look at the trades as an option when they're starting to leave school?
So I think, from my perspective, the students are not the problem. I think, when you paint an accurate picture of what the opportunities are in the trades, I think they get it, especially with, this AI, that's coming into play. That's not going to replace the trades. It may change the way some of the things happen behind the scenes, but you still need that physical component to, to build and do to do the trades. So I think, young people, and there's been several different stories written about it. They are connecting the dots and they are getting to see that the trades present an opportunity for them that may not be available with some of the other career paths that currently are out there. So I think the parent piece continues to be a challenge, but I think that's changing. But I think where we're really making a difference is in the schools. I think the counselors are really getting a hold of the fact that college isn't necessarily the path for everybody. And Pam can speak to this as well. When we went, in the early days when we were going into the schools, the counselors would tell you very quickly that they're evaluated based on how many students go on to secondary ed, how many kids, and the Albany Business Review, a lot of times the schools are ranked based on that percentage. So, they were not wrong. The superintendents would tell you that wasn't the case, but the counselors really felt like they, were being evaluated that way. The other thing, school counselors go to college to be a school counselor. So unless they got a family member, they really don't know the ins and outs of the trades, and they were in belief of a lot of the misconceptions. So, early on, we got some resistance from the school counselors. Today, they welcome us. We do workshops every year with as counselors, and we're getting 60 and 70 counselors to an event because they want to know, they want to learn how to talk to the students. We give them a lot of resources. This past year, we took a group of counselors down to the new hockey rink that's being built in Schenectady. LaChase Construction is doing it. And we took, we split the group up. Half of them went onto an active commercial job site and were able to engage with all the different trades that were on that job site. The other half were in LaChase's office building, which was very close to that. And they got to see the different jobs that go on behind, in a commercial office. And then we switched them in the afternoon. So, we spent a lot of time with school counselors. Last year we did we called it speed trading, but basically it was a spin-off of speed dating. We brought in several tradespeople and we tried to really target younger tradespeople and female tradespeople. And we brought the counselors in and they spent, 6-7 minutes with each trade, and they could ask whatever question they wanted to ask. And, they came away from that, and we still get, feedback on these workshops about how valuable they are, but they make connections. You know, the counselors are reaching out to Pam and saying, hey, I got a student that wants to know about this. Can you help them? And that, I think, is really what's making a difference, is the counselors, you know, and, you know,
That's been a complete
doing good.
turnaround.
Yeah.
That's been a huge win for us, really and truly. You know, when we decided we were going to do something annually just for the counselors, some type of workshop, we said it has to be something that gives them tools that they can walk away with. You're not going to stand up there and just lecture them and then they walk out of the room and forget it all. We need to give them tools, and we need to give them resources, and we need to be there for them. And I think it's made, I know, a huge difference. We have a wonderful school counselor following. We really do. And I'm even told by NISCA, New York State School Counselors Association, that we get better representation at our workshops than they do at some of theirs. So,
And they, you know, they have the connection with the parents. You know, counselors today do more than just, you know, what they did back when I was in school. They have a full schedule. And, you know, but they have that parent connection piece that we struggle to get. You know, how do you connect with parents today? It's very difficult. You know, they're on the go. You know, most families are, you know, both parents work. We try to connect with them at school events, but they're there for, you know, a sporting event. They're not there to hear about the trades. So the counselors kind of filled that gap for us, and, you know, they're doing an amazing job. And, you know, again, you know, there's that automatic assumption that if a student is, you know, high academically, that they absolutely have to go on to college. And the counselors are able to have that conversation now with parents and say, no, that's not necessarily true. You know, if they're inclined to want to do, you know, a hands-on type job or whatever, they can have that conversation with the parent now and reassure them that, you know, college is not necessarily the right path for everybody. And again, want to say it again, we're not anti-college, but, you know, it's got to be part of a bigger plan.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys have a really good model that's working locally, right? I'm sure it's not without its, you know, bumps and bruises and hiccups and things, but it sounds like you are, you know, and from what I've seen, it sounds like you're having a real impact on things locally here. So how do you scale that up? How do you take that into other markets? How do you grow that messaging and platform?
Well, I'm going to kick this off and then I'm going to turn it over to Pam. But, you know, you know, being in this industry as long as I have a lot of connections. And there's a group called the LBM Executive Council. And it's made up of independent lumber dealers like a Curtis Lumber across the whole United States. And each year they do a big event. They go someplace, a destination for 2 or 3 days, and they, you know, do a lot of networking amongst themselves and training and that kind of stuff. And they reached out to Pam and I and said, we want to come to, you know, your area, and we want to learn more about what you're doing with the Workforce Coalition. We've gotten a lot of exposure through different organizations that I'm involved in and through Curtis Lumber. And so they came to the Sagamore in September. There was 111 lumber dealers from all over the United States came here specifically to learn about what we were doing. And as a result of that, we're looking to expand, you know, our area. We have 3 dealers right now that are, you know, in the mid part of the country. And, you know, we're looking to take the model that we've built and franchise it or make chapters of it. And we'll support them from the back end and let them go out and replicate what we're doing and you know, take what we've learned through trial and error and use it in their areas. So we never expected this to grow the way that it has. It was really kind of a Saratoga focused initiative, you know, in the very beginning, and then it became kind of a regional thing, and then it became a state thing, and now, you know, we're looking to roll it beyond the Northeast. So it's been a great journey.
we get a lot of people that ask us, you know, we want to do what you do. How do we do that? And it's not something you could just sit down and spend a few hours with somebody. So we really do need to package it. And we will be working with a company called 1080. It's an education company two
Mhm.
ladies that are here locally, and this is what they do all over the world. They help people take what you've built and offer it into other areas, and they're amazing women. So they will probably be working with us on this endeavor because it's a huge, it's a big task. What we do is not rocket science by any means, but you got to package it right, and it would be under our umbrella. So you want to make sure that you still have those standards and that recognition, and that branding. That's all very important to put out there. So, but it's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
Whoever
get
thought?
that. I know, right?
Not me, that's for sure.
You start out trying to fill some job vacancies and
Yeah.
help folks. And the next thing you know, you're creating a whole nationwide thing. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's fun to watch you guys grow.
And I know we're getting short on time, and but of course we got to talk about November Mixer,
Yeah.
your annual event. So
Yeah.
Pam, do you want to give us the rundown on what we got going on in November?
Yeah, November 19th, at the Rivers Casino. We have an awesome MC. His name is Mr. Mike Nelson.
Oh,
Anyway, so it's going to be a lot of fun. The focus really is on socializing and networking, because we find that when this group of people get together, that's what they want to do. They're there to hang out with each other. So that's definitely going to be the major part of the evening. We're going to try and keep the program part of it to about 40 minutes. We do want to talk about, what we're doing and how we've expanded our programs and what we're going to try to do nationally and whatnot. So we want to give people our updates, because we're going to have people there who are currently members and people who are hopefully potential members, and will join us. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Last year was the first year we did it. We had a really big crowd. So this is why we're doing it at Rivers Casino. So we have a lot of space to expand even more. We're going to have a great raffle. I got to tell you about the raffle.
okay.
It's we're selling only 200 tickets for $100 each, and 10,000 will go to our organization, and the other 10 is going to be, the winners will be 5,000, 3,000, and 2,000. So your odds are 3 out of 100. I think that's pretty good, and you can win some bucks.
Yeah.
So you can't purchase those online though. You have to do those at the event. You have to purchase them. But
I was gonna say, can I do it ahead of time? I want to make sure I get my ticket.
yeah, you can get it from me. But I just forgot my thought, darn it. But anyway, so that'll be good. Oh, but we have to sell all the tickets. If we don't sell them all, then we got to keep selling them, and then the drawing will be after that. So hopefully, be nice if we could get them all sold to be able to announce the winners that night. That would be fun.
Well, I'm sure the MC will help out with that at the event.
Yeah.
We'll be okay.
We'll
You're
put
sure
some
who's gonna?
pressure
I
on
missed
him.
that, Derek. Who's gonna help out?
Your MC.
Oh yeah, we're counting on him. We're paying him a lot of money, Derek. So he better. He's
Yeah.
Pressure. No pressure.
I know. Well, I'm going to put pressure on the audience. I'll just start calling people out. I'll look right at them. Did you buy your ticket?
Right. Especially people you know.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a great time. I really do.
Absolutely. I'm
We're very
excited.
excited.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Last year's event, we had a great time. Kristen and I had to leave early, but
I know, I remember.
yeah, but it was great. It was a packed venue. Everybody was having a great time. Food was great.
Yeah.
It was a lot of
So
fun.
hopefully it's even bigger and better this year.
I'm sure it will be.
Upping the ante.
You got to keep up in the ante, right?
Yeah, you do. You have to keep changing it up, Mike. You gotta, you can't be doing the same old. And I think that's something we're very good about, whether it's our programs or anything. We're always trying to offer something new and something different.
Mhm.
And you got to keep that interest going. And the only way you can do that is if you just keep raising the bar.
Yeah,
Really.
absolutely.
Yep. So we're good about that. I hate the same old, same old. I get bored.
Same.
See, it's all about me, Mike. Comes down to that.
Hey Pam, you're doing all the good work. It's got to be about you. So, no, seriously though, I think what you guys are doing is amazing. Of course, obviously it's impactful. You can see the impact in the community, which to your point, I think that's a great thing, is trying to get people to see it, right? If they can see it, they want to be a part of it. And so it's no mystery why you guys are growing and being so successful. So
Well, you guys have helped us. This is our second or third time that we've been on, and you have, your audience is growing as well. And whenever we have the opportunity, we get feedback that I wish I'd heard about this before. So
yeah,
you've provided a forum for us to get our message out.
Well, we're happy to help. Rising tide raises all ships, right? So
Right.
we're all
And I
about.
tell everybody about Five Towers Media.
Thanks,
I
Pam.
do.
We
I
appreciate that.
really, I think the world of that group of employees. They're awesome. And Kelsey Sherman is just top of the line. Boy.
She is. Listen, we would be lost without Kelsey Sherman. So.
Oh, she's full of patience if she deals with me. So she's just a delight. But I advertise for you people all the time.
Thanks.
A website is a really tough undertaking, just so everybody knows, so your audience knows, the Five Towers Media developed our website for us. And, I dreaded it, Mike. You have to do it early on. There's so much to do with a new organization, everything. I said, oh my God, I don't want to do this. And I dreaded it. But because it has to be something, it's got to reflect who you are. It's got to reflect how you want the organization to look and to feel. It's got to have some personality to it. And we deal with kids, so you want it to be fun and you want it to be colorful and interactive. And she made all of that happen. She brought all of that together so that it really and truly represents us. And I think that's the gold with your staff, honestly. You can't it's one thing to just put that information, and you see a lot of websites all the time. It's just a list of information, and it's so boring to me, and I think ours is fun. I get compliments on it all the time. Really.
Awesome.
It's very
Good.
fun and interactive, and that's all because of you folks. So
Well,
I'm indebted to you.
well, you're not. We're grateful to be a part of it and to help. So, speaking of the website, Pam, if people want to learn more about the coalition and the work you're doing or what you have coming up, where do they find you guys?
NCTWC.org. NCTWC.org.
And are you guys on any social medias or anything like that, or is it primarily?
Yes, we're out there on LinkedIn and Twitter and all those things. Yes, we're out there.
All right. Perfect.
So thanks so much for having us. Boy, it's always fun with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate your
it.
time and appreciate you coming to talk to our audience and tell them about what you're doing. And hopefully more people will reach out and we'll keep growing, keep building.
Yeah, that's right. And we'll see you on November 19th.
Yeah, we hope to see him on the 19th. Yeah.
So if you're listening, tickets, you can
Fine.
email us. You can go online to the website. You can email us. We'll make sure you get the information. Whatever it takes if you're interested in going to the event, just reach out to Pam and Doug or reach out to us, and we'll make sure that you get the info and that you get signed up.
You don't want to miss
Great
it.
night.
Yeah, we'll have all my funny jokes that I'll tell as the MC.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Happy
Happy
Halloween.
Yeah. Happy weekend, guys.
And that wraps up another episode of Blue Collar Startup. A big thank you to our sponsors, Five Towers Media, Daigle Cleaning Systems, Daigle Fire Solutions, The Michaels Group, Martin Electric, MLB Construction, Bonaccio Construction, Peoplease, and Catamount Consulting for making this podcast possible. And thank you for tuning in. If you learned something or felt inspired, connect with us on our website at bluecollarstartup.io or email us at hardhat.bcsu@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your questions and topic ideas. Help us spread the word by sharing the show and following us on social media for updates. Until next time, keep on building, keep on dreaming, and keep hustling like your future depends on it.